Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is David, this is David K Reacts, and here on this channel I ramble with articulation, I hope, I'm going to move that very slightly, about a variety of music, video and audio references that I can pull out of videos that I choose to watch. And today is the final day of Video Game Month. Yes, I realise it was all of April and this is May, but it's my channel, I make the rules, so... No, honestly I thought, you know, Friday's my regular release, so it just seemed nice to finish on a Friday. Today, I'm actually really excited. I'm going to be looking at a song called I Am the Very Model of a Scientist Salarian. This is performed by the 8-Bit Big Band. I have been following them for some time and dropped off a little while ago. This song came out in 2023, so it came out while I was not watching them. I would love to have brought a real reaction to some of the stuff I heard from theirs because it has blown my mind. They did things like Bob on Battlefield from Super Mario 64 and things like that. Big Blue from F-Zero GX. They've done some amazing... It's all video game music. And it's all played by a swing band or a brass band. Or in this case, a small chamber orchestra. Because this is based on a piece of music from 1879 called I Am the Very Model of a Modern Major General. This is from the Gilbert and Sullivan light operetta The Pirates of Penzance. It is a song I have sung many times, and it's one you probably recognise, but not with the original lyrics. So I just needed to pull up lyrics to make sure I got this right. But the original song goes, I am the very model of a modern major general. I've information, vegetable, animal, and mineral. I know the kings of England, and I quote the fights historical from Marathon to Waterloo in order categorical. And carries on like this. You might recognise that as the Elements song as performed by Tom Lehrer, which has been made famous, I think, am I right in saying Daniel Radcliffe sang it at one point? Or something like that, somebody famous did. Anyway, that was from this 1879 operetta. I have performed the part of the modern major general, at least in a condensed version of it. And it is a patter song. And patter songs are a form of singing I adore, and they are categorized by precisely what I just did there. Very fast, or at least, you know, faster than average melody lines with often alliterative or complicated word structures so that you're spitting out a lot of syllables in a very short space of time. And I love these. I think they're absolutely fantastic. They're a really good enunciation exercise if for some reason you want to do that. But they're marvellous, and as long as they're sung by somebody that you that can project one really, really well, they're fantastic to listen to. Some examples of patter songs of various speeds. Things like We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel is a slower patter song, but I think it would qualify. If you've been watching Only Murders in the Building, then Which of the Pickwick Triplets Did It is a patter song. You Got Trouble, Right Here in River City from The Music Man. Getting Married Today from Company. And I think my personal favourite, other than the modern Major General, which is Poison in My Pocket from A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. If you haven't heard this song, I urge you to go and listen to it. It's marvellous. The first lines of it, just to give you an idea, are, I am standing here with poison in my pocket, standing on this frozen little dock. It seems that I just let them skate my opportunity away. It's marvellous. The rhyming, the language that they've used, the way they construct the song, it's so good. So please do go and check that out. Unsponsored shilling for that show. It's truly brilliant. Anyway, all that said, this is a patter song, and where does it come from? Well, this comes from Mass Effect, the game series Mass Effect, specifically Mass Effects 2 and 3. Salarians, you hear as the scientist Salarian. Salarians are a particular race within the world of Mass Effect, which is a sci-fi space opera, and the fact that it takes place over 3 games, it's one long-running narrative, so it's not like you start a new adventure in Game 2. Yes, there are new bad guys, and you've wrapped up your adventure from Game 1, but you've won the battle, not the war. The war carries on through to the end of Game 3. And Salarians are a short-lived but technologically brilliant species. So it's no wonder that, you know, many of them are scientists, engineers, technicians, that kind of thing. And a character called Mordin Solus, who is a Salarian scientist, becomes your teammate in Mass Effect 2. And he can be one of your party until towards the end of Mass Effect 3. reference to that a little later. I should say, spoiler alert for the plotline involving Mordin. So if you are thinking you might like to play Mass Effect, and if you have any interest in space operas, I would say do so. It's marvelous. This is going to spoil a fairly significant storyline. Or at least a part of it. So just be aware of that as we go on. Mordin, you discover while you're talking with him on your ship, you can go and have conversations with all of your party members, and you go and have a chat with him, and he mentions so casually in passing that he used to sing. And if you challenge him on it, he's like, yeah, I used to sing Gilbert and Sullivan. And, this is set I don't know how many years in the future, so Gilbert and Sullivan are antiquated by this point. I mean, they're antiquated now in many ways, but they're really old here, and he breaks out, if you question him about it, into a rendition of I Am the Very Model of a Scientist Salarian, including a bunch of lyrics you are going to hear in this song today. He sings a few times throughout the games. There are a couple of times you can wander through sickbay if he is tending to a particular character, and he will be humming and singing verses from this song. Those lyrics are not included here. I'll come on to the construction of this. But he will also sing a couple of other songs. He will sing a version, I can't remember what the lyrics are, but a version of I Am the Pirate King, which is also from the Pirates of Penzance. He will sing a version of Amazing Grace that is actually quite stunning. If you know that. Now, he doesn't sing terribly well, by performance standards, but, obviously this is a rare quality in this universe. So if you know the character, it's actually quite heartbreaking listening to some of this stuff. He sings a song about cell division set to the tune of what I believe to be the Yellow Rose of Texas. And he also has a song about proteins, kind of in the vibe of Tom Lehrer's Elements song, actually. That all the proteins that make up sentient life, which he sings to the tune of Say Brothers, Will You Meet Us? Which might not make sense in and of itself, but that is a song, that was the original name of the song that is now, I think, better known as the Battle Hymn of the Republic. He sings all of this stuff throughout the game, and it's wonderful to listen to. It's such a lovely, eccentric, but absolutely perfect for his role addition to this game. It's truly brilliant. Now, onto this version that we're going to be listening to today, and I think this is quite magnificent. There's a bunch of information. Check out the description. I've linked to the original video down below. But there's plenty of information there, and there's a fun little codex entry. I don't think it's a legitimate one. I think they made it up. The codex is like the in-game encyclopedia of Mass Effect. But what I've learned from reading this is the gentleman whose name I've currently forgotten. I knew I was going to do this. Charlie Rosen, who conducts and arranges for the 8-Bit Big Band, found online, he went looking for a version of the full lyrics of I Am the Very Model of a Scientist Salarian, because we only hear bits of it. And it doesn't exist. The devs never wrote the full lyric, the developers, that is. But a fan by the name of Assault Sloth on fanfiction.com had written a story, and in that story he gave the full lyrics of Scientist Salarian that he had made up. And Charlie, bless him, decided to take those lyrics and turn it into a full production song with the 8-Bit Big Band, featuring Will Rowland as the singer. And I am just so excited about this, because I've wanted to hear the full thing ever since I knew that this was in the game, and it never occurred to me to look on the internet and see that somebody would have done this. And that's what we're going to listen to today. So a chunk of these lyrics, I believe, I've done a little bit of research into what the lyrics were, because I wanted to know what I could talk about. I believe some of the lyrics are going to be the lyrics that Mordin legitimately sings when he sings the one verse to you, but not the lyrics he sings at other points in the game. The rest of them are all made up by this fan. And what I love, too, is here's a giant fan collaboration. I had a quick glance to see. Charlie links to the fanfiction story in his description. And this story was written quite some time ago. And obviously it took a while. Then Charlie finally tripped across it and went, well, let's make this thing real, which I guess nobody else had done at that point, which I can't believe. But then also I never even thought to look for it. So, yeah, who am I to judge? But I'm just really excited to see the combination of Assault Sloth's lyrics with Charlie's work with the 8-Bit Big Band, because I know it's going to be stunning, because it always is. And I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So, I will say welcome back to my channel. Welcome if this is your first time here. If it is, the way this is going to work, I watch the video through from beginning to end. I comment and emote over the top. Then I go back and watch it a second time. This time I pause it, I interrupt, and I offer what commentary and analysis I feel I can, based on what I've just seen and heard, and the foreknowledge of having watched it the one time before. Please do like the video, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and if you'd like to donate to support the channel, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com/DavidKreacts for a one-off donation, patreon.com/DavidKreacts for an ongoing donation of $2 Canadian and access to my Discord, or right here on YouTube by leaving a super thanks. Any of those very gratefully appreciated. And that's all I have to say. So, without any further delay, let's check out what Charlie has done with the 8-Bit Big Band, featuring Will Rowland as the singer of I Am the Very Model of a Scientist, Salarian. Yes!
I am the very model of a scientist, Salarian. I've studied species Turian,
amazing.
and Batarian. I'm quite good at genetics as a subset of biology, because I am an expert, which I know is a tautology. In 4 directions,
he's really close to the voice.
Machinery. I problem solve with tools and guns and even farm machinery. I perfectly recall your genome purine by pyrimidine. Rhyme required for pyrimidine. Ah, yes. I'll diagnose the cause of every symptom you're exhibiting. My knowledge is prodigious, though I'm stuffy and professory. I'm fluent in the Vorcha tongue and Hanar luminescery. My xenoscience studies range from urban to agrarian. I am the very model of a scientist, Salarian.
He's done this so well!
By breakfast time, I'm curing seekers form-induced paralysis. My ideal date was finished with statistical analysis.
Okay, these are new lyrics.
Mastered optic instruments, reflective and refractory. I don't begrudge the Koreans their hypochondriactory. I've memorized eidetic, all my patients and amnesis. I've written paper scores, and that's not counting theses. I'll toxify my enemies with nary an apology. Ology suffix. Not difficult. I spend my weekends brushing up on Elcor enzymology.
This is so good! Assault Sloth, kudos on these lyrics. But his performance is amazing.
When I complete a surgery, I sign my name in suturing. I've cut up more Batarians than Torfit's famous butchering. If knowledge is a library, then I'm its king librarian. I am the very model of a scientist, Salarian.
The feeling of the orchestra, the chorus, this is so legitimately Gilbert and Sullivan. I love it.
When I know all the acids, be they levodextrorodimers. When I tell you're a sorry child, her genes are only sort of yours. When I expound the theories that my colleagues find heretical. When I know all the finer points of therapies genetical. When I could cure your cancer with my brain just halfway functioning. When I can fix mutating cells, the point the non-disjunctioning. In short, when I've a smattering of transgenetic strategy. Strategy, challenging rhyme. Philately? No. Stamp collecting, too esoteric. Sat-a-G, homage to original lyrics. No. Risk of archaic vocabulary, confusing audience. Something simpler preferred. Had to be me? No. No.
Oh!
Oh! No. No. Yes! It had to be done rightly, and so I'm the one it had to be.
Oh, this is so clever. I can't talk much. There's so much happening.
My skeptics call me mad, and though they always try to censure me. An actuary tables say I'll live just half a century. I've surveyed every habitat from xeric to riparian. I am the very model of a scientist, Salarian. He's surveyed every habitat from xeric to riparian. He is the very model of a scientist, Salarian.
Oh, this is just magnificent. What?
At treating barren STDs, I've singular ability. I don't prescribe black market testicles to fix fertility. I've shifted every paradigm from circus to novaria. I've studied piscofauna in the field and in aquaria. Of bolus pharmaceuticals, my memory's a catalog. I know of all the croaking plants and rabbit
Playing the game.
My mastery of gel anatomy is incomparable. My soil science would suffice to make Tuchanka arable.
Wow! This is fast!
I know the use of minerals from platinum to iridium. My work's more highly cited than a Krogan on Presidium. I lecture for the thrill of it, I need no honorarium. I am the very model of a scientist, Salarian. I am the very model of a scientist,
Sir! Wow! That was... Okay, firstly, say hi. The side eye! Woohoo! Wow! Okay, you see why I was saying that you need good diction and enunciation to do this. My goodness, he did that well. And this is the thing, right? Some of the words in there are not easy. Like, the one thing with the modern major general is, I will say, for the most part, it's all fairly, it's fast, it rhymes a lot, and all that kind of stuff, and there's a couple of sentence structures that are shifted to allow for the rhyming scheme, but it's regular English, for want of a better way of putting it. 1879 English, sure, but... the sat a G joke, for example, that he made there, was in reference to the fact that they were trying to find a rhyme for strategy. It's things like that. Like, you're not using particularly complicated... These scientific terms that he's throwing, I can't sing the Elements version of this. I can sing the Modern Major General, no problem, but I find the Elements version really complicated. He's singing, they're not made-up words, I grant you, but they're certainly esoteric compared to the use of language that we have. So fast, so clearly. I see why they picked him for this. This isn't as bombastic. Like, one of the reasons I love Bob on Battlefield, the Super Mario 64 song, is I'm just in love with swing bands. I used to play in a swing band when I was at school, and it's the second in line for musical activities I miss the most after the saxophone quartet I used to play in. And it's big, bombastic jazz with a swing band. But this might be the best realized song version of... They do multiple songs in this, but to pull off Gilbert and Sullivan and to do it so very well, that is stunning. Well played, Charlie, for a start, with the work on arranging this. I don't know if he's based this on the original orchestrations, but it does sound to me, having not, to be fair, listened to this for quite a long time, it does sound pretty close to the original orchestrations. But also, I'm not used to him working with a group like this. I'm used to listening to him work in jazz style, funk, sort of hip-hop type stuff almost, like that kind of oeuvre. And so to have this left shift into light operetta is fantastic, and he just did this so very well. Let's go back to the beginning. Actually, before we do that, I want to see if there's any other information down here. Jazz pops orchestra. Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's a jazz pops orchestra. And it actually says here, the 8-Bit Big Band is a 30 to 65 member jazz pops orchestra that formed to celebrate and realize some of the best themes from video game music from all consoles and eras, arranged in a large ensemble jazz pop rock setting. This is not jazz pop or rock. That's what I love so much. This is so left field. I didn't know really what I was expecting going into this. Blending together timeless musical themes from Nintendo, Sega, Sony, and more, then rearranging them in genres and styles of all musical inspirations. The 8-Bit Big Band has members from all around the world, but most reside primarily in New York City, and are some of the most highly sought-after musicians and performers. I can believe that. And then he lists everybody who's involved. There are some names in there that are very recognizable. Jared Schoenig, for example, is the drummer, and I think he's the drummer in everything they ever do. He is marvelous. And then, yes, music by Sir Arthur Sullivan, lyrics by Tyler Larson, a.k.a. Assault Sloth. That's nice, I don't know. Arranged and produced Charlie, blah, blah, blah. Engineered and mixed by John Kilgore, great work, sir. Mastered by Alan Silverman at ARF Mastering. And shot and edited by Hallelujah Productions, animations by Java Doodles, and thumbnail art by Mike Killers. This all, and then the orchestra. I'm not going to list them all because, as you can see, there's quite a few. Please do have a look at the original video and check out the description. But yeah, this is truly magnificent. Let's go back and watch it again, and I'm going to see what I can pull out of it. This is so hard to talk through because the lyrics don't stop, that's the song, right? That's how it works, and I love the fact they've got that extra verse at the end that goes super fast. This is so good. Okay. Actually, first thing I'm going to say, I love this script the 8-Bit Big Bands presents. This is a different font format for them, which fits very well with the style of kind of what's going on here. Also interesting, Jared always has, like, I feel like his kit changes to suit whatever's going on here. Like, I don't know terminology here, but this crash cymbal he's got here with all the holes in it, sort of Swiss cheese model that's going on, it gives a very different sound to a crash cymbal that is full metal the whole way around. Things like that. I don't know, I haven't really paid attention to the degree that I do with these videos, so I don't know if he's used that cymbal before, but it's the first time I'm really noticing it. And it's interesting because that's kind of the front thing here. And it's, I think, the most in focus thing in shot. So, it's one of those things that kind of draws the eye. But I like that we start seeing Jared because he's not shown off as much. He often gets big drum solos in the middle, and he's not shown off quite as much in this one for obvious reasons. And so it's just nice that he gets his moment. Yeah. This, incidentally, is Morden. Dressed in the modern Major General's kind of garb that he would wear in the original Gilbert and Sullivan. This is the character. This is the typical characteristics of a Salarian, having the sort of horn-like features on the head, the very narrow cheek down into the very wide mouth, all that sort of thing. So this is a Salarian. I like that they put that up as a little tribute at the beginning of the thing. Oh, right. The one bit of massive spoiler context I should probably give, and the reason that I suddenly lost it a little later, and I'll talk about this specific moment when we get there, is Morden, depending on how you play the game, one of the things that can happen to Morden is that he sacrifices himself in order to reverse a genetic plague that has been set on the Krogan race by the Salarians, and he developed this plague, and it was to stop a very warlike race from... They are very warlike and they reproduce very, very easily, so they were going to basically take over the galaxy. So rather than sort of do anything more functional, the Salarian, or all the races at the time, panicked and hit them with a plague that made them, I can't remember exactly what the number is, but 1% of their babies survive. And you can choose to cure that, or... depending on how you're playing the game, also pretend to cure it. But if that goes ahead, Morden goes up it goes up to the top of this tower, and it's been damaged and it's kind of exploding all around him. And he goes in, he manages to fire the thing off, and he's humming this to himself, and he sings "I am the very model of it," and then the tower blows up, and it's devastating. I talked last week about Aerith's death in Final Fantasy VII being one of the most significant deaths in video games ever. I feel like this might be another one. It's heart-rending when it happens. Anyway, sorry, that's a total tangent from where we were, but I realised I hadn't given that context yet. Everything about that sounds perfectly Gilbert and Sullivan. That introduction, the whole thing, he could have taken that could just be a score of the Pirates of Penzance put in front of these instrumentalists. I don't know what the full orchestration is. I've been in it, as I said, but I've done it once with a significantly reduced orchestra of about 8, and I've done it once with just a piano. And I've written my own versions of it with just a piano as well. So I've never actually seen the full orchestration. But having heard several recordings of it, this sounds legit. And even that, the dum 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 dum, it's such a simple introduction, and I love that he's kept it sounding exactly as it should do. Like, he's arranged this, sure, but it's not like he's changed it to something completely different. He's arranged it for his people, for his band, for the composition that he has of people. But it's not like rushing ahead in any way, shape, or form, because nowadays it would be very easy to kind of go da-da-da-da-dum, I am the very model, but no, he has the bump, bump, bump between them, which I just think is a really nice touch. I also love the little animations that are popping up. This is very typical 8-Bit Big Band. They put animations of the game showing up. So down here in the bottom left right now, we have a Turian and an Asari, who are two of the other races. The Turians, the Asari, and the Salarians at the beginning of Mass Effect 1 are the 3 races that make up the council that kind of overrule the galaxy of space travel as we know it. And I'm guessing that that's who these are kind of geared to be. But yeah, I the animations in this are so much fun. Oh, actually, just before we get there, just so I don't have to stop to say it, I really like that they put the lyrics on screen, and I'm really glad they did, because Will's enunciation is perfect, but it's just so fast, it's hard to grab it all, especially when they're using, complicated scientific terminology.
I am the very model of a scientist Salarian. I've studied species Turian, Asarian, Batarian. I'm quite good at genetics as a subset of biology, because I am an expert, which I know is a tautology.
This, I think I did mention it while we were going through, but all of these lyrics are what he actually sings in the game at this point. So this is all familiar territory. This is what was written by the devs in the first place. His voice is so good. It's very close to... Now, I haven't played Mass Effect for a little while, so I'm recalling here, but it's very close to how Mordin actually sounds in the game. There's very sort of reedy quality that he's got going on here, quite nasal. It's a genuine... I don't know what Will sounds like in real life. I don't know who he is. I've not heard him speak. But what he's doing with his voice right now is spot on for a Salarian in general and Mordin specifically. I also love that we spend most of our time in this video because there's lots going on, and we're going to spend plenty of time looking at the band, but most of it is on Will, which I think it should be for a performance like this.
Good at genetics as a...
I also love that they do it a lot with split screen, so we can see what's going on. We see these movements here of the bowing of the stringed instruments, but at the same time we can still see what Will's doing.
Subset of biology, because I am an expert, which I know is a tautology. In 4 directions cardinal, I know the blot routinery. I problem solve with tools and guns and even farm machinery.
Some of the lines in this, I problem solve with tools and guns and even farm machinery. It's so well written, and the variety of, Salarians solve with whatever they have to hand. It makes complete sense. It's fantastic. He's also one heck of a warrior. Like, he was basically Salarian Special Forces for a while. And so, yeah, what he's saying makes complete sense. And even though he was always a scientist, doesn't mean he wasn't other things as well.
4 directions cardinal, I know the blot routinery. I problem solve with tools and guns and even farm machinery. I perfectly recall your genome curing by pyrimidine. Rhyme required for pyrimidine. Yes. I'll diagnose the cause of every symptom you're exhibiting.
Now, this is a structure that exists in the original song. Every time you get to this point in the verse, the modern Major General says something and then goes, oh, I need a rhyme for that, and stops. He'll often engage. And the great thing about parts like this that are very comedic in Gilbert and Sullivan is that the actors often get the opportunity to kind of ad-lib a little bit. They might engage with the cast. I saw one performance where they actually called out to the audience for suggestions, which went really well if there was no one in the audience who knew what the lyric was supposed to be. I did. There was one, I think in the second verse, the audience member shouted out what the word was supposed to be, and it was like, there goes the fun. But yeah, he always does that. He stops, he pauses, and so I love that they included that. It makes complete sense.
Wired for pyrimidine.
And then what the chorus does next, also exactly the same.
Yes. I'll diagnose the cause of every symptom you're exhibiting. Diagnose the cause of every symptom you're exhibiting. Diagnose the cause of every symptom you're exhibiting. Diagnose the cause of every symptom you're exhibiting.
Just before we run away from this, we've already talked about the two in the bottom left. Down in the bottom right, you have a Quarian and a Krogan. The Krogan, who's the guy with the red mohawk type thing there, that's the race that the Salarians inflicted the plague upon. So, just for completion of information. But yeah, again, this is a structure in the thing. The chorus repeats the final line 3 times, and the third time they add in the extra 2 syllables. So where here we've got every symptom you're exhibiting. The ibit is, again, comes directly from the original song. I also like this. There's nice focus points. I want to jump back here again as we're going around the orchestra.
Yes. I'll diagnose the cause of every symptom you're exhibiting.
All of this, mostly strings. So what are we seeing? Well, we're seeing the bum, 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 bum from the cellos. The violas kind of adding a little bit there. We're not seeing the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Or are we? Hang on, maybe we were, sorry.
Yes. I'll diagnose the cause of every symptom you're exhibiting.
No, we're not. They're just doing the bum, 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 but higher up, so the harmony. But I like that we get to see a little bit of the rhythm section there, so it helps you pick out what's going on, because this is a fairly complicated arrangement. I'm not sure exactly how many people there are here, but there's lots of different parts doing different things at different times. And if you see at one point what's actually happening, it helps you focus on that, and then later on when it comes back, you recognize that being there. It's a nice way of helping us to kind of grok the entire arrangement. We now see the chorus there. This is that Charlie? No, that's one of the chorus. Just for a split second, I thought it was Charlie. It's not Charlie. I'm trying to figure out where they're standing in relation to the band. Now we see the wind, because we have this they're basically duplicating the line the chorus is singing. So we see here the clarinet, we see the piccolo. Piccolo stands out a lot in this. And we get this bomb, 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 which is coming from the tuba. It's tuba or euphonium, can't quite see. But we get that focus on it right here. And then we see the full band, because it's the full band doing stuff. It's just the way they've chosen to edit this together. They're really good, and it's the logical thing to do. But it's interesting with this, because there are so many people playing. It's not like there's one saxophone blaring out over the other two. There's just three of them, and there's one that's front and center. It's a whole section that's front and center, and occasionally a supporting instrument like the tuba. And I like the fact that we're allowing the viewer to see all of that as we're moving around. It's very, very effective, as I say, for getting to understand the arrangement.
My knowledge is prodigious, though I'm stuffy and professory. I'm fluent in the Vorcha tongue and Hanar-Luminescery. My xenoscience studies range from urban to agrarian. I am the very model of a scientist Salarian.
One thing with this too, it's worth commenting, the precision of everybody involved in this, because these bump, 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 it's all so tightly together. It's really, really lovely sound. They did a great job here.
By breakfast time, I'm curing seekers form-induced paralysis. My ideal date would finish with statistical analysis. I mastered up.
My ideal date? What?
Time I'm curing seekers.
This is new lyrics now.
Form-induced paralysis. My ideal date.
Seeker swarms you face in this game. So Mass Effect 2. My ideal date would finish with statistical analysis. That is so good. What a great line. Because it would. He'd sit there and then he'd analyse how it all went down with numbers and, you know, what was the percentage chance of seeing you again kind of thing. That's amazing. Also, to out myself as of watching some TV, I've been watching The Circle recently. I don't know if anyone's seen it. It's a social media, sort of social experiment of putting people only able to communicate via social media and forming alliances, all that kind of stuff. But they have these kind of flirtatious moments and then immediately stop. And they're like, well, that seemed to go quite well. I think they're on my side now, and maybe we can form an alliance with this other player. And that is very much informing how I'm reading this line right now.
By breakfast time, I'm curing seekers form-induced paralysis. My ideal date would finish with statistical analysis. I've mastered optic instruments, reflective and refractory. I don't begrudge the Chordians their hypochondriactory. I've memorized eidetic, all my patience and amnesises. I've written paper scores, and that's not counting theses. I'll toxify my enemies with nary an apology.
I do want to take a moment, just while he's going to stop here for a second anyway. I'm loving the camera work while we're going around here, because the camera never stops. We have this static camera on Will, but the one on the right is always roaming, even when we're just seeing the double bass player. It's just very gently shifting around him, so we've got this constant slight motion, which kind of helps keep up the pace of the song, because this is quick. Right? There's our pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This moves. And if we had static cameras the whole way through, it might drag that back a little bit, visually speaking. So it's never so much that if you want to focus on Will, you can't. And that I really, really like. But it is allowing us to see a lot of what's going on. It's focusing on some of the people who are probably the leads of their particular sections. If you're not particularly familiar with orchestral work, particularly with the violins, but also with most of the instruments, but strings more so, you'll have, you know, let's say you have 8 chairs of violins. That means you've got 8 players out there. The person who is sitting at the front right, who, if you've ever been to an orchestral concert, they will, for the violins at least, they will also be the last person to walk on before the conductor, because they're technically the orchestra leader as well. But the person sitting at the front right will be the leader of that section. And so we're spending a little bit of time with maybe those people. We're seeing a little bit of them as well. I don't know how structurally they've stuck to section leaders here, in terms of the way that they're doing this, because obviously this isn't or maybe I didn't see a mention of this being an established orchestra. Maybe I missed it in the description. But it's just the fact that we're giving these people time. They're having their moment as well. Yes, this is Will's kind of shining thing because of the lyrics and the skill that he is demonstrating with his singing. But that's not to put aside everybody else who's doing very cool work beneath him as well.
Written paper scores, and that's not counting theses. I'll toxify my enemies with nary an apology. Ology suffix. Not difficult. I spend my weekends brushing up on Elcor enzymology.
Mr. Assault Sloth, you, sir, are a genius. Ology suffix, not difficult, correct. There are thousands of them in the English language, and we settle on Elcor enzymology as being the one. It's just so good. Like, we've had tautology mentioned already. There's so many different ologies in the world, but enzymology, of course, it's perfect for him, but I love that it's not the simplest ology out there. Fantastic. It's so modern. These lyrics, I have to judge these lyrics as much as anything else because I've never come across them before, and they are not from the original. They are made up for the most part, and it's brilliant. I say judge. I don't judge anything. I have to offer commentary on. Let's put it that way.
Not difficult. Then spend my weekends brushing up on Elcor enzymology.
Is he holding an ocarina?
Ology suffix. Not difficult.
Oh no, it's an Elcor stuffy. The angle it was at was just the leg sticking out. So he's holding a model of an Elcor, which is like they stand like a baboon, kind of with their two front limbs down and then two smaller limbs behind, and they're these titanic creatures. And they are what got me into Mass Effect. Here's a tiny bit of cool Mass Effect lore for you, and this is the thing that I was enjoying the game, and then I met an Elcor and spoke to them, and my brain melted because of how simple a thing this is and how much it felt alien, which is, of course, what you're trying to achieve here. The Elcor speak micro-tics on their face, micro-expressions, that other races just aren't. They don't have the receptors, the optical receptors to pick up these motions. We can't see them. So what they talk in a very monotonous tone of voice because all their expression is elsewhere. So if you talk to an Elcor, they'll go, "Hello, human. It's nice to see you today. Maybe you should go and check out the Presidium," or whatever they happen to say, with zero emotion whatsoever. So before every sentence that they say an adjective that describes what that sentence is going to be. Joyful. Hello, human. Welcoming. It's good to see you today. Curious. Have you seen what's been going on the Presidium? Like that. It's so simple, but it's the weirdest thing I had seen at that point of how to represent a foreign alien language that is not something contemporary to Earth, and it was just so clever. Because they don't have the vocal structure that we have to emote the way that I am emoting right now as I talk. But they also, even though they've got all these expressions going on their face, I don't know what just happened because I'm not looking up there right now, we can't see them because they're micro-expressions. It's just, what a fantastic idea. I'm so off-piste right now, it's not even funny, but that just really, really struck me. Anyway, he's holding a stuffy of an Elcor, which now makes so much more sense.
Ology suffix. Not difficult. Then spend my weekends brushing up on Elcor enzymology.
Oh, interesting. Molo-ology, not molomology. Curious. That actually makes it slightly harder to sing because you have to put a glottal in. Mola-ola. It's not just mola-mola. That's an interesting decision. Can we just stop a moment to look at where is it? Oh, this is the hard bit, to be honest. Look at what they're singing. He spends his weekends brushing up on He spends his weekends. That is not easy. Listen how clear this is. They have a fantastic set of singers in the chorus, as well as Will. I'm wondering if these folks are from like a Gilbert and Sullivan Society or something like that, because such things do exist. The work is kept alive by Gilbert and Sullivan Societies around the world, because it is such a specific form of performance. And so I wonder if that's where they come from. Or they're just exceptionally good at enunciating and fast. Really, really good work.
When I complete a surgery, I sign my name in suturing.
I didn't catch that lyric.
When I complete...
And the board as well. So you get his signature tattooed on you because he successful surgery. That's so good.
The surgery, I sign my name in suturing. I've cut up morbitarians and Torford's famous butchering. If knowledge is a library, then I'm its king librarian. I am the very model of a scientist Salarian. If knowledge is a library, then he's its king librarian. He is the
This-
very model of a scientist Salarian.
I think the information broker might have words for you about that. The shadow broker. That... These lyrics... I have to say, Assault Sloth knows Morden really well. I mean, sure, you're not going to write a fanfiction about a character that you don't care about and know really well, but these lyrics are just spot on. Again, this is the structure in the song. The third verse slows right back down until a little bit later on.
When I know all the acids, be they levodextrorodimers. When I tell you're a sorry child, her genes are only sort of yours. When I expound the theories that my colleagues find heretical. When I know all the finer points of therapy's genetical.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, what was it? Levodextrorodimers? What is a levodextrorotimer when it's at home? I'm sure scientists will tell me if there's somebody who's watching this and knows their sort of biology. But this is what I'm saying, is this is the difficulty of some of the words that he's having to say in this. Even therapy's genetical. Like, genetical therapy? Sure. But therapy's genetical, just reversing words for the sake of the rhyming scheme, which is, again, what they do in the original song. It's makes it harder to say this stuff.
My colleagues find heretical. When I know all the finer points of therapy's genetical. When I could cure your cancer with my brain just halfway functioning. When I can fix mutating cells, the point the non-disjunctioning.
That's the one that caught me.
My brain just halfway functioning.
When I can fix mutating cells, the point the non-disjunctioning. I'm not even sure I understand that one. I guess it probably makes sense, but that's a complicated thing to say.
I can fix mutating cells, the point the non-disjunctioning. In short, when I've a smattering of transgenetic strategy. Strategy. Challenging rhyme. Philately? No. Stamp collecting. Too esoteric. G. Homage to original lyrics. No. Risk of archaic vocabulary. Confusing audience.
That line, risk of archaic vocabulary, confusing audience. Brilliant, brilliant piece of writing, because Gilbert and Sullivan were alive in this universe a very long time ago. That's just, it's small details that make this feel... This could have been written by the devs and put into the game and be completely legit. It's just so good.
Something simpler preferred. Had to be me? No.
If you've played the game... You know why I laughed when I got to this point, or like kind of cringe laughed. This is the big thing. Okay, more spoilers here. This is the big thing when Morden is going to, like, his big thing is, I've got to be the one to fix the genophage, it's called, this plague that the Salarians put on the Krogan. It has to be me. Somebody else might get it wrong. And he says that when he's going up there too. Had to be me. Somebody else might have got it wrong. And it's that it makes his character. I created this problem. I made it complicated. I made it so difficult to solve that nobody has done it to this point. I have to be the person who goes up there and lets the cure loose because somebody else might screw it up. It's beautiful. And it's Morden's character arc from beginning of Mass Effect 2 to whatever his ending. There are other endings in Mass Effect 3. You as your character, if you're playing a negative character, you can actually shoot him. There are different ways but he doesn't make it through. And this as his arc, finishing off with him so determined to undo. And he's not apologetic about it. He'll say, it had to happen at the time. But now we need to fix it. And it has to be me, because somebody else could get it wrong. That's why I had the reaction I did when he said that. That being in here is perfect.
Archaic vocabulary, confusing audience. Something simpler preferred. Had to be me? No. Doesn't fit meter. No. Yes! It had to be done rightly, and so I'm the one it had to be.
And I love that what he gets is just a shift of had to be me. Had to be done rightly, so I'm the one it had to be. Same sentence, but I love the way it's written. No. Yes! Will's performance in this is magnificent. Just fabulous.
No. Yes! It had to be done rightly, and so I'm the one it had to be.
It had to be done rightly, and so he's the one it had to be. It had to be done rightly, and so he's the one it had to be. It had to be done rightly, and so he's the one it had to be.
My skeptics call me mad, and though they always try to censure me, an actuary tables say I'll live just half a century.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. They only live around 50 years. That's the average lifespan for a Salarian. That's the hence this lyric.
I've surveyed every habitat from Xeric to riparian. I am the very model of a scientist Salarian.
He surveyed every habitat from Xeric to riparian. He is the very model of a scientist Salarian.
That would normally be where it ends. You get bum bum. Done. So this surprised me. And I love the sound, the key change that he gets in here, the way that orchestra comes in with that chord to tell you we're going somewhere else. It's brilliant. That transition is magnificent. Beautiful arrangement, Charlie. That is spot on.
At treating their STDs, I've singular ability. I don't prescribe like market testicles to fix fertility. I've shifted every paradigm from circus to novaria. I've studied piscofauna in the field and in aquaria.
I don't know how legit it is that he's doing something with the Switch here, but... Or is it a Steam Deck, I guess, maybe? I don't think it's not out on Switch. It must be a Steam Deck. But the, Or is it on Switch? I don't know! Why am I getting hung up on this? Because I don't want to get wrong information. But for him to be singing this fast is really impressive. I've studied piscifauna in the field and in aquaria. I've studied piscifauna. That's difficult! And this isn't even... Piscifauna is a weird word, but it's not particularly complicated. I assume piscifauna is fish life forms. This is not particularly complicated, but it's just hard to sing fast. And he's singing it. He's spot on.
To fix fertility, I've shifted every paradigm from circus to novaria. I've studied piscifauna in the field and in aquaria. Of bolus pharmaceuticals, my memory's a catalog. I know of all the croaking glands from Ravenor to Gatatog. My mastery of gel anatomy is incomparable. My soil science would suffice to make Tuchanka arable.
When is this man breathing? I wasn't paying attention. I need to go back and actually look. And yes, that is a Steam Deck. It is not a Switch. I need to go back and figure this out. Breath here.
At treating their STDs, I've singular ability. I don't prescribe like market testicles to fix fertility. I've shifted every paradigm from circus to novaria. I've studied piscifauna in the field and in aquaria. Of bolus pharmaceuticals, my
Doesn't
memory's
breathe.
a catalog. I know of all the croaking glands from Ravenor to Gatatog. My mastery of gel anatomy is incomparable. My soil science would suffice to make Tuchanka arable.
And then he holds the note on! That might be mixing, but if he didn't breathe for that long, that's incredible. And he doesn't even sound, you could get to the thing and you're desperately trying to say everything in one breath, and so you get to the end of it and it kind of gets a little bit croaky because you're running... I'm faking that, but you're running out of breath, and so and if you're singing, it gets really hard to hold a note, and then he gets that really solid note coming out there. This is incredible!
My soil science would suffice to make Tuchanka arable.
And again, his soil science would suffice. His soil science would suffice. His soil science would suffice. His soil science would suffice to make Tuchanka arable. That one's a little easier, but it's still the soil science would suffice. I'm curious to know how many takes they did of this, because if one person slips up, you're going to hear it. Maybe they're just that good and they just came in and did it, in one or two. But I feel like this would have been a real challenge.
I know the use of minerals from platinum to iridium. My work's more highly cited than a Krogan on Presidium. I lecture for the thrill of it, I need no honorarium. I am the very model of a scientist Salarian. I am the very model of a scientist Salarian.
I absolutely adore the inclusion of the chorus harmony over the scientist, because then they're in unison the whole way. Listen to this.
I need no honorarium. I am the very model of a scientist Salarian.
The point of having a sizable chorus for this is the sound of many voices singing the same notes. Like, they might be an octave apart, depending on vocal range, but they're singing in unison. Maybe true unison, maybe, unison in octaves. But they're singing in unison, and then you suddenly get this beautiful choral harmony here.
I am the very model of a scientist Salarian.
And there again, at pace, that bump, off, everybody's off. I am the very model of a scientist Salarian, and everybody coming right back in again. You just get those sort of 3 hits from the band.
I am the very model of a scientist Salarian.
That is difficult stuff. Wow! That is so good. You look rightfully pleased with yourself, sir. You deserve to after that. My goodness. I love the simple animations. There's nothing complicated about them, but they add so much to the video.
I am the very model of a scientist Salarian.
So the only one downside is it's just difficult to see the orchestra, of course, when you have these giant words on the screen, which is fine. I'd rather be able to see what's being sung. Yeah, there's not really... I was trying to see those final kind of flourishes anywhere in the orchestra, but it's difficult to see. That is incredible. I am so impressed with Assault Sloth for writing those lyrics. I am so impressed with Charlie for arranging that, and I'm really impressed with every single performer that was in there, because they did an extraordinary job on this, and also well done to the post-production team as well. That was fantastic. That was truly, truly fantastic. Well played, everybody involved. I have to say it. That was amazing. Really enjoyed that. I hope you did as well. This is a very different style of music to anything I've covered so far, but I do adore Gilbert and Sullivan. Check out some of their work if you've never seen it before. I will probably link, so that you have a point of reference, for those who don't know it, I'll link in the description below to a performance of the Modern Major General as well, just so that you can see what it is that we're riffing off here. But that was perfect. That was just so good. Well played, everybody. I really enjoyed that. I hope I brought you something, whether you've seen this arrangement and I just brought you some new thought about it, or if this is the first time you've seen this song, the 8-Bit Big Band, Gilbert and Sullivan, any of that, then that's great. That's what I'm trying to do here, is just spread the love of this music around. Please do like the video, hit the subscription button and the notification bell, and if you'd care to donate, once again, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts, at patreon.com/DavidKReacts, or right here on YouTube with a super thanks. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, especially if you're still here at the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed that. Take care, have an absolutely marvellous evening, afternoon, morning, nighttime. I don't know. 5:49 p.m. I'm guessing how many minutes I might have chopped off the length of this recording by the time I'm done. I hope you really are having a good time. Have a wonderful rest of whatever day it happens to be. Look after yourselves, take care, and I will see you in the next non-video game month video next Friday. Take care. Bye for now.